Percentages are a part of math that come up in everyday life quite frequently, especially when we're talking about money. So on this page, I'm going to have you copy down this list, and we're going to add to it on the next page. And we're talking about some things that come up all the time in real life, and especially when we're talking about buying things, and that is when things are discounted or on sale. Those are two times when we end up saving money. Basically the same word, but I want to make sure that we have all the vocabulary that we need. That discount and sale are two cases where we save money. Now the next two, tax and tip, are two cases where we end up spending more money. Our state and our city charges us taxes on most things that we buy. And tip is something that we leave for our waiters and waitresses for excellent service. And then there's this last one that we might not have heard before, and that is called markup. And that is what stores do in order to make a profit, in order to make money. We're going to be talking about profit at the very end of this lesson, but everything that we buy has been marked up so that stores are able to make money. So these three are cases where we end up spending more. Commission is a very special application of interest, and a commission is money that someone earns kind of as a bonus for selling products, whether it's selling cars or selling clothing or selling videos, whatever it is. People earn extra money for the more that they sell. And this last one here listed, interest, we're actually going to have a completely separate lesson on interest. That's what these little stars here mean. And interest, we are talking about money that we have borrowed and that we owe money on as a fee for borrowing it. Or if we put money into a savings account, we earn money for saving our money with certain banks. So here's basically that same list, except I'm not talking about interest or profit anymore. And these are the three steps that I'd like you to write down. You can write them on the left-hand side of your notes, and we're going to talk about what we do. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to change the percent to a decimal. So if we're saving 25%, we'll turn that 25% into a decimal. If we're being taxed 25%, we'll turn that 25% into a decimal. The second step is always to multiply. And then the third step is what we're going to fill in right here. If we are saving money, let's say something was on sale for 10% off, we're going to change to a decimal and multiply, and then we are going to subtract the money that we are saving. Same thing with a sale. Change to a decimal, multiply, and then subtract. So what do you think we're going to do with the tax and the tip and the markup, where we are going to be spending more money? We're going to change the percent to a decimal, we're going to multiply, and then we're going to have to add that extra money on. Tax costs extra, tip costs extra, markup costs extra, so we're going to be adding those on. And commission is the one that's going to be a little bit different. Commission is really just change percent to a decimal and multiply, and then we don't do anything. There's nothing left to do. So then we do nothing. It's just going to be to change a percent to a decimal and multiply. Remember, you can pause these videos at any time to take notes. So our three steps. We change the percent to a decimal, we multiply, and then we will either add or subtract, or if it's commission, we don't have to do anything. So 20%, I need to change this into a decimal by moving 2 times to the left. That gives me a decimal of 0.2. 35 times 0.2, 2 times 5 is 10. 6 and 1 is 7, and I put my decimal in right here. So this shirt is on sale for 20% off. That means I'm going to be saving $7. So 35 take away 7. This shirt now costs $28. On to this other problem. Here's a shirt that costs $35 and it's being marked up 20%. I do the same thing. I need to turn this into a decimal. 0.2. I need to multiply. 2 times 5 is 10, 7, and the decimal. So this shirt, because it's being marked up, it's going to cost $7 more. So since it's more, I'm going to add. This shirt now costs $42 because it's been marked up. Now we have a problem with tax and tip. Well, tip is going to cause something to be more expensive, so I know I'm going to be adding. And tax is going to cause something to be more expensive, so I know I'm going to be adding. But the steps are the same. We're going to change the percent into a decimal. Then we are going to multiply. And in both of these cases, actually, we are adding. 15% becomes 0.15. 42 times 0.15. So I'd like you to finish this multiplication. Whatever your answer is, once you've done that multiplication, it will get added on to your $42, and you'll come up with a final answer. It's going to be more than $42 because we've added money on as a tip. 8% tax. I moved the decimal twice. I have to add a 0, so that's going to be 0.08. So I'll leave you to finish this multiplication. And you're going to add on your answer to $47. Remember, the game costs $47, but we can't walk out with it until we've paid this extra 8%. So your answer here will be greater than 47. And here's a question about commission. Andy is a car salesman, and he earns 4% commission in addition to his hourly wage. So Andy gets paid an hourly wage, but his boss really wants him to sell cars. The more cars Andy sells, the better the company does. So Andy's boss is willing to pay him a commission as a bonus, kind of as an incentive for him to sell more. The more Andy sells, the more the company makes, and he makes a bigger bonus. Last month, Andy sold 3 cars that cost $15,000. He sold 3 of them. So let's see how much Andy sold last month. Last month, Andy sold $45,000 worth of cars. How much will his commission check be, or his bonus? We're going to do those same steps that we've been doing. We change the percent to a decimal. We multiply. And then for commission, that's the weird one that we wrote nothing. There's nothing else to do. We don't add anything, we don't subtract anything. So we've got to change 4%. 1, 2 moves. So 4% is 0.04. I'm going to multiply these two numbers together, and whatever that answer is will be the bonus check that Andy will receive. I'd like you to please finish this, finding how much Andy will receive as his commission. And the last idea that we need to talk about is profit. Now, this is a weird one. I don't entirely know why it's in this chapter or in this section because it doesn't have any percents in it. Last month, Mary's Cupcake Company earned a total of $4,698. She paid her employees $1,485, and her other bills totaled $1,932. How much profit did she earn? Well, my definition up here of profit is the amount of money that the business actually gets to keep. Mary's company doesn't get to keep this because they paid all of this bills and all of this for their employees. So we need to find their income. Here's her income, 4,698. And we need to subtract all of her expenses. So her expenses last month were her employees. She paid $14.85 for her employees, and her other bills were $1,932. So I'm going to add these two things up so I can find her total expenses. So her total expenses were $3,417. So at the very end of the month, even though this is how much money they took in, this is how much money was in their register, after she paid her employees and her bills, her profit, $1,281. This is how much money the company actually gets to keep. So for your game this week, for today, you can go to this website, you choose items from the toy store, and calculate how much that item will be on sale. The website is tinyurl.com/carnes sale.